Hey there, I'm Mark from Spectrum Pulse, and today we have from Rapsody Please Don't Cry. It would feel like an obvious cliche to highlight that it's been about 5 years since Rapsody's last album, but truth be told, it's felt like it's been longer, partially because of the pandemic, which fundamentally broke our perception of time, but also because I really didn't connect with her 2019 album Eve. Not that it was bad so much as that it wasn't for me, and it spoke to potential that hadn't quite coalesced. A project that wanted to elevate black women, but very much within the confines of the established system, with words to challenge, but only so far. It was really frustrating for a project with some strong guest features and a lot of great production. Now, since then, well, it's been quiet. There were some rumors of a fallout with Ninth Wonder, which is very revealing with no production credits from him here, and a couple passing bars on God's Light, but that's probably awkward given that she's on his label, co-signed with Roc Nation. I mean, she contemplated quitting rap altogether and moving on, but she pulled through, and we got this. And it's pretty damn great. Even if I can say the title is as much of a challenge to the audience as it is an affirmation for her, because it's easily Rapsody's most personal and introspective album to date, possibly even her best. Now, one thing you recognize very quickly is that this album is at a crossroads for Rapsody in themes and content. She's acutely aware of how she's perceived and has been received, that she's discovered more black men like her sound and approach than women. She's gotten some pushback in that space, being called a pick-me and a hotep, and given how she dresses and how she raps, there's been speculation made on her sexuality, which she addresses on Stand Tall. All of which is kind of insane to me, knowing the subject matter of Eve and how it was framed specifically for the empowerment of black women, but also not that surprising when you encounter mainstream audiences that don't bother to read deeper into content and themes, plus a lot of systemic framing on what black women in the mainstream are expected to rap about, where there's a formula. But when you combine that with not seeing the crossover mainstream success that she arguably deserves, and how much value she has placed in that validation, you can tell she's taken it really hard, listening to all of it and then trying to figure out who she is on the other side, which feeds into some very personal stories. She talks about her faith, that affair she had with a married person, a time where she did experiment sexually with a woman, and what potential feelings that could open up on the gorgeous that one time. Then she's got a stellar, mature love song on 3 a.m. that ultimately ends with heartbreak with a nice assist from Erykah Badu, and most strikingly where she gets to her aunt's struggle with dementia on Loose Rocks. Rapsody has only improved as a more expressive rapper outside of the bars and punchlines, and you can tell the anguish and touching on family issues really cuts through, especially if there's anyone you know in your life who's going through something similar. Where I think the bigger step is when Rapsody allows herself to be seen as imperfect, or less of an aspirational figure, which for a black woman rapping in her 40s near the mainstream who has played the hierarchical game as an MC, it's all the more daring. But where the humanistic framing, set up through a framing device in a salon where her hair becomes a metaphor of her feelings and place around herself, then allows her to heal, go through it, keep growing, and then challenge some of those expectations that have been thrust upon her. Like why so many men are more accepting and willing of her in this lane of hip-hop and not in others, in like the smoky jazz of Look What You've Done. It's why one of my favorite songs on the album is A Ballad for Homegirls, where she has a call with a sister asking for advice around a tenuous relationship, and the more streetwise friend giving her that good advice, it's baby Tate. She's great on it too. One thing that really resonates across this project is Rapsody's affection for family and friend connections, trying to find solidarity, especially given how isolating it can be in the rap game, especially when you're underappreciated for a lot of stupid reasons that might be beyond your control. I gotta wonder if she were to be alongside the new wave of women coming up in rap, that sort of solidarity could be great, especially for a rapper like, say, Glorilla, who has been actively seeking it out. Now, Now, all that being said, there are still some limitations on Rapsody's framing when it comes to some larger societal issues. He Shot Me explicitly targets the Breonna Taylor case, Never Enough engages in some real critique of bad power structures, abuse of power, but she encounters some immediate pushback on that song with the "you need to figure out your own issues first," and I don't know, you can do both. It speaks to my lingering frustration with Eve and the framing, but I am more forgiving of it here because Rapsody's internal journey is the thematic core of the album. She just could afford to go a little bit deeper with a systemic critique. Of course, then it all comes the execution, where over another extended runtime, Rapsody's gonna try and push her sound. She still has her usual stable of producers, but minus Ninth Wonder, you can tell there's a desire to get a little bit more flexible and adventurous, like the shuddering, bassy knock of Asteroids with Hit Boy, the swaggering G-Funk synth of Do Not Disturb, where I was amused to hear that Biggie flip, and then the chopped and screwed outro. Then you got a distorted rap rock adventure on Diary of a Mad Bitch that I really liked, but its grimier guitars and that hook might be contentious, although probably not as much as Lonely Woman, which has her acting out a masturbation scene to incredible effect. And then there's a diversion near reggae on Never Enough and God's Light, and I wish it connected a little better than it did. And I got some other quibbles as well. Rapsody's adventures near Trap, they're solid and well-intentioned as she frames Trap as deflective from getting more deep, unnecessary balm to the pain, but can be a little bit reductive. And I'm not wild about the chipmunked gospel vocals on Faith, and I don't know why Lil Wayne sounded like he was rapping through a speakerphone on Raw, a track that I otherwise think is really great with a terrific swaggering verse from Rapsody, but overall the vocal mixing can feel a little flattened on a couple tracks, including that one. But you know what? In summary, this is a really great album. It's already been slept on by a lot of folks. It's wonderfully diverse, introspective, with some really smart metatextual observations about her in the rap career, and for the longest Rapsody album to date, it didn't feel like it to me. It's definitely a record that's going to play best to an older and more mature audience. It's still not for me, but I also think there is more doors for Rapsody to open going forward, and this is a welcome sign that she's getting closer with every step. I can really hear the quality shine through. A bit of a tearjerker in spots, but for the best reasons possible. Give this a time. Check it out. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you want to see more, please be sure to like, share, drop comments, and subscribe. Rapsody fans, I know you've been waiting for this for a long time. Please leave your comments down below. And again, there's a lot of folks who will sleep on this, and that drives me nuts. This should get a lot more attention than it has. Beyond that though, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if you all want to get involved in getting albums like this on my schedule, supporting the channel, talking with me on Discord, link to my Patreon is right over there. Don't feel obligated, tough times out there, I understand. The option's available. Till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.